Hi guys, and this is another quickie S1000RR, and I'm getting ready to change the exhaust. So my setup, which I had, used to include the stock headers and the bottom can, basically just a standard S1000RR 2017-18 exhaust, which looks quite similar, not exactly the same, but similar setup to what it used to be in 2012-2014. And I changed the end can to that Akrapovic GP. This is what I did right initially, just to save the weight. There's original pipe over there, you can see it's much heavier. So, and this, so my idea is to actually change it to Akrapovic version, but not like a sports exhaust, but not like a HP race exhaust, but just road legal or street legal exhaust from Akrapovic, which is sold from BMW as an option. It's called HP titanium exhaust system or something like that. And some bikes, S1000RRs of this 17-18 model year already came with that, and I saw those in the mobile DE pictures. So yeah, to figure out how that would look like. Yeah, so the difference between this and that, what I'm going to have, is what that one is made of titanium, so it's lighter. So I weighted this exhaust, like this whole, like I set up without end can, and it is 6 kilograms in my scales, and including the servo motor as well. So why I removed the servo motor? Because in that HP titanium exhaust, there is only one flap in the rear, but there is no flaps in the front. You can see this interference pipe, which is controlled by that servo motor to open and close the valve between the cylinders over here. So all of that will be gone on that Akrapovic titanium. That rear flap would stay, and the looks of the exhaust is about the same. The setup is the same on that Akrapovic exhaust. So there is a can underneath the bike, and then two exit pipes. So, and the servo in the same position pretty much. Not the servo, sorry, but the flap, exap, whatever it's called. Right, yeah, so let's see how much that would weigh. So a couple of days before it will come in. Because it takes quite a lot of time to remove all of that, I decided to disassemble everything before that arrives. So it save my time later. This is how a bike looks like without the exhaust. You need to drop the oil cooler and dismount the bottom radiator mount and disconnect the top mounts for the radiator, so we could push the radiator forward when installing the exhaust. So access is not that hard actually to the bolts, all doable. The worst part of it is that holder which holds the radiator and mounted to the engine over there. Is like not a big one, but there is a little hole over there where the bolt goes into. And without removing the oil filter, it's not that easy access. It's doable, but it's just a freaking pain. Yeah, that's it. So here it is, like waiting for a new exhaust. What I noticed here on the 2018 model, which I have, probably 17 will have the same, not sure about 15, 16 models, but comparing to model year 2012, it has this can here. This is for fuel vapor to collect. It's connected to a fuel tank, I guess, on one side, and it's something like that, or maybe, well, I don't know, whatever. So one end of it is definitely connected to the intake collector, and that is just to, to burn back the gases which is collected into that thing, and this is emission thing. So one end I think is connected to the tank, and another end is connected to the intake, and so it collects the gases from the gas tank in here, and then it burns them out through a normal like combustion process, sucking it through the intake ports. And of course there is a drain, some drain line going down from it. I guess if fuel is condensing there too much or something, it's gonna just overflow and just drop on the ground eventually in extreme conditions. Yeah, so that's another weight which probably ideally good to remove, but for that to do I would need to go all the way and disassemble, like I would probably take off not just a fuel tank but the whole airbox to get access to where it connects to, something like that, and plug those holes. Not necessarily something I would like to do. Anyway, just a good thing to know, and maybe sometime in the future I'm gonna get rid of it. And because of that canister, the plastic here is a little bit different, so it sits closer to a radiator compared to 2012. Just less room, more weight. This is freaking emission standards. Well, I would assume that again it's me being angry about the modern regulations for the road use, but you know, there are not so many sports bike out there, so it would create catastrophic conditions like for environment, I guess. Why would you know, those people who design those regulations, we need to think about the quantity of those on the road as well, not just, you know, measure everyone the same way. But who cares? It is in there, so just leave it. Freaking same for the exhaust, I guess. Losing power because of a lean fuel, cannot get it like to the proper ratio for the street use and things like that. Oh well, degradation of a modern world. Yeah, what else? Yeah, well, another thing I did actually while my bike was hanging on a stand like this, what I noticed again, so I've been fighting with DDC shitty suspension from BMW for quite a while. You could see that from my previous videos, changing the setups and things like that. One of the things I noticed is when you actually like have all the preload out in here, the right fork, like I have at the moment, and you just hang your bike in the air like that, so the front wheel is not touching the ground, you won't see the full extension over here. Like, so this pipe would not go all the way down, so you need to push it down with your hand, like from here, let's say, to extend it completely. When you release your hand, it kind of sucks back. So usual thing for that is harsh top out springs, like hard top outs and long top out springs, which may cause that, like little preload on the main spring, so it cannot fight the top out completely, and so the wheel cannot extend completely, just hanging on those top out springs. And I was thinking, okay, so it might be the case here, maybe not. So what I did is actually I added all the preload to right fork, so any fork where you add the preload and this shitty setup. And now I did that, and then because I have everything disassembled already, I disconnected the line going to DDC here, disconnected, like pulled it upwards here, and I unscrewed this cap completely. Just you need to release the bolts for the clip-on and the top triple clamp, so you could spin this thing, because otherwise it cannot get jumped in the air with this like clamping force. So I unscrewed the cap completely, and then just screwed it back in, and that allowed air to get into the fork. Because what you usually want to have is never have the negative pressure within your forks. So like in the full extension, very worst condition, like all preload in, completely extended forks, you need to have at least like a 1 psi, or what? Sorry, not psi, 1 unit of atmospheric pressure, right? This is what you need to have, just the same pressure as you have of the air around you, right, in the worst condition. And then I did the same with right cap as well, just completely unscrewed it, it got some air, and screwed it back in. And so what I noticed after that, obviously I took the preload back out to like a stock position where I had before, like 40mm sack, after changing the wheelbase with a shorter chain. I have a video about that. Just, if you want to get more details, just look at that video on my channel. In case, like, why, if you're thinking why I did that, why I shortened the wheelbase on this 2018 model. Anyway, so I put everything back in, and what I noticed immediately, like now, even with all the preload out, my forks are completely extended, so I cannot push it down. So even if I push a wheel up, it will go back down to a full extension. So now I can actually use all 120 millimeter of a travel in the front in all the conditions, which is, I think, good, isn't it? Good thing to have. And also the front of the bike will now sit higher than before when I riding it. Maybe that will solve that problem which I saw before with the front end having too much of a load, like sitting too low. So that's why I had to like pull the forks all the way up. So you pull the bike on the forks all the way up, so only up to like these cutouts. Yeah, it's flush with the cutouts here. Yep. So this is what I did. So I guess the forks actually somehow were assembled in some little bit compressed state. Maybe that was causing the negative pressure within the forks and not allowing them to extend completely. Well, on some smart forks you may have like a bolt here, like on the dirt bikes, but they have different problem. Usually they pump more air inside, so you hang the wheel in the air, you unscrew that, and you let some air out. But it's even like in any bike, like even on GS there is thing like that. See that bolt over here on the top of a fork? So that is to equalize the pressure. So you put the bike on a center stand in case of a GS, and yeah, I just unscrew that and put it back in. So to equalize the pressure, because the pressure may change because of a different temperature, for example. So before every race, you could actually want to like lift the front like this and equalize the pressure in the forks at a full fork extension, right? When all the preload in, and so springs could push the front end down. So front is actually fully extended. Yeah, and then just put whatever like number of preload turns you like for your riding setup. Because the negative pressure, actually what it does, it makes oil to bubble. So the air spring within the fork, so when the cartridge is working, it creates like a foam, oil foam in there. But because of the pressure, because when the bike is sitting like at its weight, plus the rider, basically sitting on the side, there is some pressure within the fork, and that additional pressure will cause oil not to create so much foam. It's the same like you have with water. Let's say higher altitude you are, the less temperature is required for water to boil. And in the opposite way, like in your cooling system, for example, there are a few bars of pressure, and so even at 100 degrees in Celsius or more, a little bit more, it's still not boiling. So yeah, so that's same about not exactly the same principle, but the same logic applied in here for pressure. And that's why you have that reservoir in the shock as well. Of course, there is a piston in there as well in that reservoir. It's even better system, so you don't get like a mixture of oil and nitrogen. Nitrogen is separated from the oil, but you still get that pressure actually to prevent forming of an oil. Anyway, so that's this is where I am at the moment. But I'm happy what I did that, and now I'll put the system back. I will remeasure a second. Let's see where we are. Maybe I need to readjust my fork position now, because that may be too high in the front at the moment. I need to drop the bike down a little bit. But you can really tell when you're just riding it in the turns, like turn entry, corner exit, see how the bike behaves, how much weight it has in front, how it behaves mid-corner and things like that. Yeah, so this is what it is. And yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is when you change the exhaust from like a stock exhaust built from some shitty heavy metal, I mean that part with headers, when you change that, you need to reprogram your bike for that option. And because obviously the front servo motor for interference pipe is removed now, so bike needs to know not to care about it anymore, so it wouldn't give you an error. But it will also prepare the right fuel air mixture. Because when you change this part, especially the headers, when you may get into the trouble because of a different how to say, combustion, because it will vent cylinders quicker or slower, and so on different RPMs. So you need to have right map for it, and BMW offer that. And that's going to be put into this bike. Right. And some people likely mistakenly think that on a modern bike like this, if you just put a straight pipe, suddenly you're gonna be riding like plus 15 horsepower or something, and that is all wrong completely. What we end up having is less power actually than we had before in most of the cases, especially at low RPM. And very dangerous condition for the engine, because when the gasoline engine running lean, you go into a risk of burning through the pistons and the valves. So it was crazy, guys. We put straight pipes and I think, okay, now I sound like Valentino Rossi. Now I'm gonna just freaking jam it, and then we lose every freaking drag race. And I think, okay, what just happened? So yeah, just always use the right map. So if you're using stock parts from a BMW provides the maps for road legal and for race exhaust, which we sell as well. And it's a good option to just program your bike accordingly. On a model year 17 and 18, because most of the things happening right here. So here are your catalytic converters, this is the main exhaust, and this is just freaking nothing. So that's why you can put the GP pipe on it and don't care about it at all. Your engine will run fine. But if you have, let's say, and the same applies to 2012, well, actually from 2009 to 2014, you can put and can, like whatever you like, because it doesn't really matter. It's mostly for the looks. But if you have a 2015 to 2016 model year, then you cannot do that anymore, because you pretty much have only two catalytic converters and then just pipes going to main exhaust. And this is where the whole thing is happening in the main exhaust. So if you change that and to something like this, then you need to remap your bike, and there is no standard option from the BMW for that. And some tuners who tried the power commander on these bikes were not very happy about what we got as a result. Well, I talked to one of the guys who I kind of trust, and he said what he can do after, like, if he changing the pipe, you know, without programming the ECU to HP race power kit, and just with a power commander, he never could get like a good low-end power from it at all. So he was able to tune from 6,000 up quite fine, but before that it was all terrible. So, but with race power kit ECU, everything is fine. Also, you can use the race calibration kit to adjust it in that case, and so that all works fine too. Anyway, these are the news. Just waiting for the spring. The spring will be with a new exhaust. And interesting here how much that would weigh. So this one is without the end can, just the headers. 6 kilograms. So let's see how much the Acropolis titanium would weigh. Let's see. So guys, that's it for now. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye bye.